Hey, this is video 2. My last one didn't send. So learning about the brain and our memory. My memory's not the best today, so I've pre-written my video response, so please be patient. Here it goes. So in regards to child development, our nonprofit Montessori school is vigorously collaborating with our county health department, the board, and our families and our teachers right now to improve the learning platform for our children. After our dose of distant learning, it's our hope to reopen our school in a few weeks every day. We know that every learning for toddlers to third grade, it is very important that we're providing environments that need to be beautifully prepared and orderly so the children can learn order from them and they're interested in learning in that environment. Just today, we had parent volunteers that came in to help our teachers reorganize their rooms and paint their walls fresh to have a good beginning. Our director and staff, fairly new from 40 years operation, but 5-year leadership right now, decided, since we have 4 teachers currently going through Montessori training in our building, that it may be important we plan some workshops before the children arrive to train some staff. So Eric Jenson discusses the importance of prior knowledge and mental models. His teaching can be a good prelude to the workshop happenings. Jensen says that all students, children, and teachers will have prior knowledge, even if it's random or unconscious learning. Prior knowledge is not a mythical concoction. It consists of real physical brain matter. Prior knowledge fundamentally influences whether and how we will gain an accurate, deep understanding of the topic. Prior knowledge is personal, complex, and highly resistant to change. The best way to teach is to understand, respect, and build on each other's prior knowledge. So we're all going to be together with our prior knowledge, making sense of it together. Mental models are coherent structures for understanding things. Lambert and Walker in 1995 defined a mental model as an individual as existing understanding interpretation of a given concept, which is formed and reformed on the basis of experiences, beliefs, values, social cultural histories, and our prior perceptions. It typically refers to internalized reparations, that sensations of a device or idea held in the mind of one or more persons. So we may have functional models, we may have structural models, we may start with what the teachers know before we share and start our discussion. The first workshop will most likely be presenting our risk mitigation plan, our protocol, our schedules, our added staff, our procedures for this year. Also be opening up the conversation for our teachers and discussing conflicts that we're having, pathways and options towards our solutions. We're hoping that this workshop will introduce everyone involved in this year's learning and create trusting relationships, build common knowledge and understanding on Montessori principles. The reason we teach at Montessori, right? Together we're hoping to identify our strengths and talents in our building so we may learn from one another and utilize everybody's background and their experiences. The second workshop will be a week later, a couple days before the children arrive. We're really wanting to go with the concept of teachers teaching teachers. During that week, the teacher in between the 2 workshops, they will put together what they know or what they're interested in so that they can present it to the group. Something along the lines of child development, maybe sensitive periods, brain-based learning, following the child, all those great concepts we've been really diving into with GMEI. We will give everybody a few minutes to present, share their topic of choice, and provide resources so that we can all gather together and share. There's a lot of pressure the last couple weeks. I don't know if you're feeling it on what's happening, what's happened, and what will be happening. This brings forth an opportunity to help clarify in discussion what our goals are, our mission, our vision, why we are a Montessori school in the community. The closest one is almost an hour in every direction. So what's awesome right now is that we have a waiting list, which is showing the value that our community sees in Montessori education in this great time of change in our world and in our education processes. Revolutionary changes happening right now. Another great phase of life. Here we go. When the staff is trained and well aware of Maria Montessori, our students will be enhanced, engaged in a learning environment supporting their development. So John Dewey, one of our theorists that we've been reading about, tried to get people to understand that change brings new problems, but it also brings new opportunities. This is so relevant to our education issues today. Our education movement is evolving, constantly changing, and trying to find a balance between the online and in-school learning during this challenging time of COVID. All that teachers can really do right now is be the best prepared to formulating a plan that is ready to implement for either option during the coming up school year. Dewey shared central ideas of the education movement to those of Maria Montessori. Education should be child-centered, should be active and interactive, and it must involve the social world of the child in the community. He also believes that teachers needed to have confidence in their skills and abilities. They must trust their knowledge and experience and provide appropriate activities to nurture inquiry and dispositions of learning in the children they work with. Currently, this is where my teachers are putting forth a great deal of effort and time in adapting to a different teacher role experience and a way of learning, if it will be remotely for our young students. Our teachers are planning curriculum that will adapt to these conditions and finding new strategies of interesting opportunities for learning and reaching out to and connecting with families. They are working harder than ever to be prepared for both options, and it's difficult. Maria Montessori's observations led her to believe that children are capable of great connections, great concentration, when they're surrounded by many interesting things to do and given the time and the freedom to do them. So, Montessori teachers are trained to teach little and observe much. This is becoming quite a obstacle in today's current online platforms. One way our school will be approaching this new challenge is by calling all the families and talking with them this week. Then our director is creating a PowerPoint presentation so everybody is on the same page. There is some consideration going into teachers doing home visits before school, especially with the toddlers, to form a personal relationship with them in their family setting and in the social world. This idea, we're hoping, will help us meet the child where the child's at, helping us gain an understanding for their needs and their daily environment, build trust with those families, and establish those relationships in order to build support systems for these children's learning, social, and cognitive development. So just like Maria Montessori, Jenson takes a scientific approach to education. He began with basic research on what's happening specifically in the brain and our environment. He looked for trials on humans and animals, and he was finding that educational research will tie into the classroom. So then he would try out the concepts by applying it. All learning involves the brain, so the more we can understand how the brain naturally works, the better we can structure educational practices to align with that functionality. Personally, myself as a social scientist and an educator with some background in the environmental sciences and biology, I was very intrigued to learn more about how the chemistry of and the brain system affects our processing and learning. Just like our Montessori school, the brain is always a work in progress. It's dynamic, it's constantly changing as a result of the world we live in and in the life we're leading. We're trying our best to adapt, connect simultaneously, and become more specialized in the education we provide and in providing the best environment for our children to learn and succeed. The health department told our school that we're going over and beyond in our plan, and that brings me great comfort. I know we can only plan for so much for what is ahead, and we will learn and be making mistakes along the way. Eric Jenson suggested the ways we learn by sensitization, habituation, conditioned responses, imitation, and learning by doing. Another thing that Jenson elaborates on is how movement, music, arts, and language can really enhance our children's learning, and also depending on the environment in which the opportunities are provided for the children to interact with friends socially or with the natural world. At my school, I'm looking into maybe grant opportunities or the possibilities of creating more outdoor learning protocol and areas for making outdoor classroom learning environments which focus areas of study. For example, having picnic tables built, for the different classroom ages, in efforts to reflect and study upon nature environments such as the gardens and the playground and the forest and the creek by the field. One of the things that's been enhancing our learning programs at our Montessori school are our enrichment programs, otherwise known as specials. We offer areas of movement and music and art and Spanish and nature. So currently we are discussing new ways to keep our children safe as well as our staff and in setting boundaries. One of our options is to create didactic materials in each of those disciplines and find dedicated areas of placement in each classroom. The specials teacher is in control of changing out materials, teaching those materials to the teachers or the students. We're also navigating ways to bring those specials on carts, rotating them through the building to the different classrooms. We are in the process of collaborating and discussing many ideas, as well as learning what the new year will bring, what our role is, what is most logical in supporting our plan. Outdoor learning activities can play a big part in our human play, those being functional play, adventure, confidence play, constructive play, exercise play, even solitary play. Human play supports movement, which helps grow a better brain, and movement is one of the keys in the Montessori way. So with that in mind, the toddler room specifically is trying to overcome the restraints of distant learning for our toddlers. The biggest question right now is how do we get their attention? Almost have to go a Sesame Street route. Our teachers' lesson plans and altering curriculum will touch upon a balance in learning of active learning, passive learning, and by setting timelines and limitations in doing so, and making most effective and successful. How do we get their attention, Eric Jenson, just like Maria Montessori, talks about windows of opportunities, those critical periods that are legitimate for emotions, sensory motor, auditory development, and vision. So as Eric Jenson states, some of the smartest things teachers can do are the simplest. So our big strategy right now before school opens, hopefully in a few weeks, is setting our goals. What are our goals for today and this year? What do we need to do today and this week in the class to reach our goals? And why is it important for us to reach our goals today? All right, so that's where we're at the Firelands Montessori Academy in Huron, Ohio, on Lake Erie. And best of luck to everyone in their endeavors right now. Got a lot of committed, hardworking teachers.